The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Praise be Jesus and Mary.
Now and forever.
Today we celebrate this Franciscan memorial of Saint Conrad of Parzham. He was born on December 22nd, 1818, in Bavaria, southeastern Germany, to a very pious family, and was given his birth name. His baptismal name was Johann Berndorfer. And he was the second of 12 children, a large family, pious parents, very open to life. And right from his childhood, Johann demonstrated an inclination toward prayer. He prayed the rosary every day, and unlike many little boys, I know families out there can attest to the fact that, especially in large families that try to pray the rosary together, a lot of little boys think about the rosary not so much as an effective weapon against the devil as an effective weapon against their sister. So Johann instead was very devoted to Our Lady, to the rosary, and inclined to silence and solitude and prayer. And so he grew up working on the farm, living a very simple life, and it wasn't until he was actually 31 years old that he made his vocational decision to enter the Franciscans. And so he did that, he entered, and as the saying goes, man proposes, but God disposes. Because after having made his profession of vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience, he was sent to the principal Marian shrine in Altötting, where he was then made porter. And so this was a place that was very busy with lots of pilgrims visiting. And as porter, you need to answer the door when somebody comes knocking. And so with all of these pilgrims coming and all of their needs and requests, Conrad, he took the name Conrad after Saint Conrad of Piacenza. He was responsible for answering the door and dealing with the people and administering to their needs and helping them in whatever way he could. But remember, this is a man who loved solitude, silence, quiet, prayer, recollection. And so we see how God doesn't always give us what we're most inclined to, what we would prefer. Okay, the will of God sometimes gives us something that we're not so inclined to and that is not so pleasing to us. And so when that's the case, we've got two options. We can complain, lament, resist the will of God, try and squirm our way out of it and find a different road or a different path, or we can embrace it with faith and see as this being the path that God chose for us. This is the path of my sanctification, and whatever these circumstances are can be a means to greater union with God, greater love for God, and greater love for neighbor. And so that second virtuous way is the way that Saint Conrad of Parzham chose to take. And in fact, he attests in his writings, he says this: "Nothing is really a hindrance to me, because I am always united with our dear Lord. In fact, the more I have to do, the more I feel that I'm united with God. I then speak to God in a familiar way, like a son to his father. I speak in prayers and aspirations." And so it's in those circumstances that he found himself, that he would see God in those people who were coming to him. He would exercise charity towards them. And in doing that, he was able to maintain this interior union with God, notwithstanding the exterior busyness. And so he acquired a great reputation for holiness, and he would die with this reputation of sanctity on April 21st, 1894, at 75 years old. And so he who spent his life opening the doors for others, the doors of heaven were then opened to him. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.